In just 72 hours, $2.3 million in taxpayer money. Kash Patel didn't expect the leak. He didn't expect 3 White House sources to confirm his doom. He didn't expect the Turkey pardon to become damage control theater. Cameras caught Trump's scripted praise. The Rose Garden fell silent. What did those sources reveal about Patel's girlfriend's scandal that made even Trump consider firing his most loyal FBI director? At exactly 4:47 p.m. on a frigid December afternoon, Kash Patel sat in his 7th floor FBI director's office, staring at his phone as the MSNBC breaking news alert shattered his world. 3 sources with knowledge of the situation: Trump and top aides grown tired, out of a job by year's end. The words blurred together as his political life flashed before his eyes. Behind his mahogany desk, framed photos of Patel with Trump smiled mockingly back at him. The man who had built his entire career on unwavering loyalty to Donald Trump was about to learn that in Trump's world, loyalty only flowed one direction, and when you became a liability, even the deepest loyalty couldn't save you. Patel's hands trembled as he scrolled through the devastating details. Government jet for girlfriend visits. SWAT team security details. Nashville country singer. The specifics were so absurd, so personally humiliating that he almost didn't believe someone would actually leak them. But there it was, in black and white, his private life and professional incompetence exposed for the entire world to judge. What Patel didn't know was that this moment had been building for months. In the West Wing, Trump's top advisors had been documenting every headline, every embarrassment, every sign that their FBI director was becoming more trouble than he was worth. The final straw hadn't been any single scandal, but the accumulated weight of a man who couldn't separate personal indulgence from professional responsibility. The girlfriend situation was particularly galling to a White House already struggling with optics. Her name was Sarah McKenna, a 28-year-old country music singer from Nashville with aspirations bigger than her talent. What started as a relationship had evolved into something that appalled even Trump's ethics. Challenged administration. Patel wasn't just dating her. He was treating the FBI like his personal travel agency and security service. The government jet flights had begun innocuously enough, official business in Tennessee that happened to include a personal dinner. But by summer, Patel was using the Bureau's $47 million Gulfstream G550 for what amounted to expensive dates. Nashville to Los Angeles for her recording sessions. Los Angeles to New York for her industry meetings. The FBI's Premier aircraft had become Uber for a struggling musician. Even more outrageous was the security detail. When McKenna expressed concerns about fan stalkers, Patel didn't suggest private security or local police. He assigned a Nashville FBI SWAT team as her personal bodyguards. Elite federal agents trained to respond to terrorist threats were reduced to following a country singer around Broadway bars and recording studios. The costs were staggering. Each jet flight cost taxpayers approximately $35,000 per hour. The SWAT detail added another $2,500 per Dalton Y per agent. Over 6 months, Patel's romantic life had cost American taxpayers $2.3 million. For a country singer whose biggest hit peaked at number 47 on the country charts. But the financial waste was only part of Patel's problem. His professional judgment had become equally questionable. The premature tweets that had infuriated Justice Department leadership weren't just embarrassing, they were dangerous. When Charlie Kirk faced an assassination attempt, Patel tweeted details about arrests before the investigation team had even briefed the White House. When a terrorist attack occurred in Michigan, he again jumped ahead of protocol, releasing information that could have compromised ongoing operations. He thinks he is still a political commentator. One DOJ official told colleagues privately, he doesn't understand that FBI directors don't tweet their way through active investigations. Pam Bondi, Trump's attorney general, had grown so frustrated with Patel's social media habits that she'd instructed her staff to monitor his Twitter account and prepare damage control statements. Todd Blanche, another key Justice Department leader, had reportedly asked White House Chief of Staff whether they could confiscate Patel's phone during major investigations. The breaking point came when Patel's tweeting interfered with the investigation into the assassination attempt against Trump himself. When FBI analysis concluded that the shooter had acted alone, contradicting various conspiracy theories popular in MAGA circles, Patel's premature announcement to Fox News created a political firestorm. Trump supporters who expected him to validate their theories instead heard their own FBI director debunking them. Even the MAGA base is turning on him, one White House source confided to reporters. When you've lost the people who supported you getting the job in the first place, you are in real trouble. The base's anger wasn't limited to assassination theories. Patel had failed to satisfy conspiracy theorists on multiple fronts. The 6th of January pipe bomb case remained unsolved, and MAGA activists accused him of covering up government involvement. When pressed for details that could support their theories, Patel and his deputy Dan Bongio had maintained professional standards rather than political loyalty. This created an impossible situation for a man whose entire career depended on Trump's favor. Traditional law enforcement professionals despised him for politicizing the Bureau. MAGA supporters despised him for not politicizing it enough. He had achieved the remarkable feat of earning universal disdain across the political spectrum. Current and former FBI agents were particularly scathing. Absolute disdain was how multiple sources described their feelings about Patel's leadership. Field agents reported that morale had plummeted as resources were diverted from legitimate law enforcement to political theater and personal indulgences. We're supposed to be investigating domestic terrorism, and our director is using SWAT teams to guard his girlfriend. One agent told colleagues, "It is humiliating." The professional revolt extended beyond the FBI to the broader Justice Department. Career prosecutors whispered about resignations if Patel remained in position much longer. Department veterans who had served under both Republican and Democratic administrations said they'd never seen such institutional demoralization. Into this chaos stepped Andrew Bailey, the former Missouri Attorney General who had been brought in as co-deputy FBI director alongside Dan Bongio. Unlike Patel, Bailey had actual law enforcement experience. Unlike Patel, he understood institutional norms. Unlike Patel, he didn't tweet his way through investigations or use government resources for personal relationships. Bailey's 90-day probationary period was ending, making him eligible to serve as full director. White House sources suggested that Trump was already considering the transition. Bailey represented everything Patel wasn't: professional, experienced, and focused on law enforcement rather than political performance. The timing of the MSNBC leak wasn't coincidental. White House sources needed to prepare public opinion for Patel's eventual removal while providing Trump with cover for abandoning another loyalist. The story broke on a Wednesday. By Thursday morning, reporters were asking pointed questions about Patel's future. That afternoon came the turkey pardon ceremony, an annual White House tradition that normally generated lighthearted coverage. But this year, the event became an impromptu damage control exercise. As reporters gathered in the Rose Garden, Trump's staff clearly briefed him on the need to publicly support Patel. FBI Director Kash Patel, who has been very busy and doing a great job also. "Thank you, Kash," Trump announced, his voice carrying none of its usual conviction. The praise felt scripted, desperate, unconvincing. When the small crowd applauded politely, Trump added, "See, Kash, you have a following," as if trying to reassure a man whose career was already over. White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson's response to the story had been telling in its weakness. Rather than categorically denying the reports, she'd offered bureaucratic speak about Patel being a critical member of the president's team who was working tirelessly. In Washington, such non-denial denials typically preceded actual denials of employment. The political calculation was becoming clear to everyone except Patel himself. Trump had built his second presidency on promises of competent governance and respect for institutions. An FBI director who used taxpayer money for personal relationships while botching major investigations undermined both themes. Keeping Patel might satisfy personal loyalty, but it would damage Trump's broader political brand. Republican senators were already expressing private concerns. Several who had voted to confirm Patel were questioning their decision. The girlfriend scandal provided political cover for anyone wanting to distance themselves from a problematic nominee. "We expected tough leadership, not personal indulgence," one GOP senator told staff members. "This isn't what we signed up for." Democratic criticism was more pointed but less politically damaging. Republicans defending Patel could dismiss partisan attacks, but they couldn't dismiss taxpayer waste and professional incompetence. the scandal had bipartisan appeal in all the wrong ways. Media coverage was uniformly negative. Even conservative outlets struggled to defend using SWAT teams to protect a country singer. Fox News hosts found themselves in the awkward position of criticizing Trump's choice without directly attacking Trump himself. The financial details made defense impossible. $2.3 million for girlfriend security and travel was a specific documentable number that couldn't be spun or explained away. In an era of budget concerns and government waste criticism, Patel had provided his opponents with perfect ammunition. His social media presence, once an asset in Trump's media-focused administration, had become a liability. Every tweet was now scrutinized for evidence of poor judgment. His Instagram photos with McKenna at expensive restaurants raised questions about who paid. His Facebook posts about FBI operations looked like attention-seeking rather than leadership. The institutional damage was becoming impossible to ignore. FBI field offices reported that local law enforcement agencies were increasingly reluctant to share intelligence with federal agents, concerned about whether sensitive information would appear in Patel's next tweet. International intelligence partners expressed similar concerns about operational security. Career FBI employees began updating their resumes. Senior agents with pension eligibility started retirement paperwork. The brain drain threatened to hollow out institutional knowledge just when domestic terrorism threats were reaching historic levels. Patel's damage control attempts only made things worse. His defensive interviews emphasized loyalty to Trump rather than law enforcement competence. His girlfriend expense explanations seemed tone-deaf and entitled. His dismissal of professional criticism as deep state resistance alienated the agents he needed most. As December deadline rumors intensified, Patel found himself completely isolated. Trump's favor was conditional and fading. MAGA supporters felt betrayed by his failure to validate their theories. Law enforcement professionals wanted him gone. Media coverage was universally negative. Political allies were distancing themselves. Andrew Bailey, meanwhile, was quietly demonstrating the competence Patel lacked. His briefings were professional and factual. His operational decisions respected institutional norms. His communication style emphasized substance over sensation. The contrast couldn't have been more obvious to anyone paying attention. The endgame was becoming predictable. Trump would announce Patel's decision to step down for personal reasons, probably over a weekend to minimize coverage. Bailey would be announced as acting director, then nominated permanently. Patel would receive a face-saving appointment to some lesser position if he was lucky. For now, Patel remained in his 7th floor office, reading about his own political obituary while trying to salvage whatever remained of his reputation. But in Washington, once 3 sources confirm you are finished, you are finished. The only question was whether you leave with dignity or wait to be dragged out. Sometimes the most powerful position in law enforcement can't protect you from the consequences of poor judgment. Sometimes loyalty to a president can't save you when you become a liability to that president. Sometimes mixing personal indulgence with professional responsibility destroys both. What happens when an FBI director treats the bureau like a personal service agency? What happens when political loyalty becomes more important than professional competence? Kash Patel was about to find out. And America was about to get a reminder that in Washington, nobody stays in power forever, especially when they've confused the privileges of office with personal entitlements. If this breakdown of power, accountability, and consequence in Washington revealed something important about how our institutions really work, don't just observe from the sidelines. Like, share, and subscribe for more unfiltered analysis of the moments when political calculation meets personal responsibility. Hit that notification bell because in times like these, understanding the real story behind the headlines isn't optional. What would you do if your tax dollars were funding someone's romantic life? Drop a comment below.